quicker we start, the quicker we finish. We're pressed for time. Unfortunately, everyone has a very thick program. So, right now we're starting our press conference within Kazan Forum with the Islamic world countries. One of the topics we would like to discuss right away is regional cooperation in the field of flight safety. So we have video broadcasting, we have a recording of the conference. If anyone from the audience has a question, you can raise your hand, introduce yourself, and thus contribute to our conference. I'd like to introduce the speakers present here. They will answer mine your questions. Oleg Struchevo is the chairman of the Interstate Aviation Committee. Please welcome him. Thank you for being here. Sergei Melnichenko, Director General of ICAA Flight Safety. Oleg Lim, Deputy Director of the Civil Aviation Agency under the Ministry of Transport of the Republic of Uzbekistan. As far as I understand, Gulnara Shatakbayev was supposed to attend this meeting. She represents Kyrgyz Republic, but she's absent, unfortunately. But I'm happy to start our press conference. And I'm going to ask my first question to Oleg Georgievich. Could you briefly specify the key problems in the flight safety? What's going on in this sphere? As we are enjoying the integration of new technologies and piloting systems, what are your challenges and how to solve the problems in this sector? The Interstate Aviation Committee annually publishes a report on the flight safety in the countries participating in the organization. We are monitoring this situation connected with control and supervision of the flight safety in the membering countries and annually issue the respective report. This report can be found on our site. So you can have it, but to cover the topic briefly, the situation in 2023 significantly improved in the aviation. If we are speaking about aircrafts over, so there are certain categories of aircrafts. In the previous year, we had a single catastrophe in the membering countries, and this shows the best level from the year of 2016 or probably 2003. And as for all the other spheres, we are enjoying improvement for aircrafts with a weight of 5.7 tons, and we don't see any aggravation of the situation, only improvement. And we can see that aviation agencies of all the countries do what they can to ensure the flight safety and meeting the modern day challenges. We improve forecasting of flights, and load carrying, and give great attention to development of regional organizations dealing with flight safety, ensuring investigation of catastrophes. It was created in the 90s, and it was necessary to support countries after the USSR falling apart in the sphere of aircraft legislation, aircraft equipment certification, training of specialists, and investigation of aircraft emergency situations. We have been fruitfully working for more than 20 years, and MAC is registered as an ICAO, as an international organization. There are just so few organizations registered there. This is ISAA and MOC, and only they are allowed, are given the three levels of flight safety. In 2016, at the 39th session of ICAO meeting, we understood the necessity to organize committees ensuring or dealing with flight safety. So the reason for that is connected with the fact that many countries face the necessity to create structures that would ensure correspondence with norms and standards. But to do that, or to create this organizations, one should invest much money, but lack of certification is also is not what we need. That's why regional organizations are created in this sphere, and these regional organizations certify aircraft equipment, investigate emergencies happening in the respective member companies, countries. And such regional organizations ensure compliance with the technical specifications, and they help us to be in compliance with the new equipment developments. I'm sorry, I forgot to represent Mr. Zaykov. He's a deputy chairman of the Interstate Committee in the aviation. So one of the topical issues is also the fact that many countries which are friendly to us do not possess enough resources for efficient authorities that could ensure the flight safety and investigation of aircraft emergency situations and catastrophes, collisions, and that's the situation is ambiguous, and we need to ensure some uniform form of support. So what is the better strategy here to solve all these problems? Yes, this problem exists. It's an acute problem. It's not only our problem and not the problem of our region. It's the problem of the whole world. When we are lacking resources and staff for the growing civil aviation, and ICAO recommended to organize regional structures and organizations that would solve these problems and make certain arrangements relating to certification, licensing, or investigation of flight accidents. And because to have a separate agency in each country that would deal with flight accidents, that would investigate and ensure compliance with certificates. It requires a lot of investments. That's why we started using just European experience and global experience. And there are altogether 17 initiatives in the world, in Africa, in Latin America, in Asia. Everyone has understood that we should more efficiently use the labor resources and other resources because it's more profitable. And we are helping those organizations that are in the process of establishment, that are established under ICAO aegis, and that we are very grateful to the countries, member countries of the treaties that help us to implement all of our initiatives.
Thank you very much for this answer. So the next question is to Mr. Melnichenko. So we already heard 2 times that there is a certain lack of staff, well-qualified staff apart from technical resources. We see that Boeing company aircrafts, and we see that, well, maybe the quality of production or the control quality is going down. So what should we do with the staff? So should we drop it with parachutes with some alien planet because we have a high demand? So where shall we take this personnel? Where shall we hire this personnel? So the thing is that personal problem has been noticed like about 20 years ago, and it's not a new issue. So in the aviation communities, they witnessed that there would be an inevitable situation where we have lack of all specialists, air dispatch professionals and pilots as well. So for instance, we see the same situation in the United States of America, as within a couple of months last year happened 7 close to catastrophic accidents near the airports. So maybe the violation of dispatcher regulations. So the plane takes the wrong lane, which is used for plane landing, or some other violations of the procedures, and it has been analyzed. So now, in such a country as the United States of America, there is a lack of several thousands of dispatchers, several thousand of them. In our country, the situation is much better, but nevertheless, we see this situation because of the sanctions, as we see much less international flights and we change the geography of flights. Nevertheless, we witness that from the other side, the amount of flights is growing, and we see that probably there would be some decisions made on political level that's at the one in one hand may open the whole flight routes for foreign aircrafts and for local aircrafts. So at that time, we will have much acute needs for personnel. So foreign countries, they contribute very much to that. So first of all, they have grant system, a big amount of university universities and other higher institutions where they train dispatchers, pilots, and specialists in the area of activities. So they offer different schemes of training. So we know that the majority of students they they are forced to take some educational loans and then they need to bring it back. So, and now, as we see, the interest rate has been decreased quite significantly, and in this area, Russian Federation also can use this expertise of foreign specialists. So we have some educational institutions that meet all the high standards, international high standards. So now we witness problems with aircrafts, engines, with chassis, but we also forget that sanctions touched upon not only technologies, but they also we had problems with information. As before, we could have visited different forums, aviational, international forums, and now, well, we're not allowed, and we are not offered this opportunity to take part in it. So our agency, we see this like private governmental partnership here. So we appreciate the role of international aviation company here, and we had the first agreements with this organization, and now we're trying to fill in this informational vacuum, as we have the supervisor status on in a RICAO bureau, which is an international organization, and we have an access for big databases, research databases. So that's why we analyze this information, which is not available in the Russian Federation and governmental participants, and we offer it on aviational region. So Uzbekistan, Belarus, Kyrgyzstan, and many other countries use our services. It seemed to me that this situation, like, we can live with it, we can fight in this case, and we can solve these issues as well. We can take some measures to close the probable deficient of new personnel. And in the third place, we are an example how governmental organization, interstate, and private organization, they can successfully cooperate in this area. So one more very important question, Sergey Alexandrovich. This question goes to you. So the amount of flights is growing up, but the amount of personnel cannot increase in such amount. So we come to a certain conclusion that the load on pilots and all other qualified staff is increasing. So, and the quality and the safety of flights may suffer. And as well, one more factor is that the resource drainage, for instance, some international air companies that's in 2022 and even earlier, I witnessed that they hire some of your personnel. So it's a negative factor there. So how to live with it and how to fight with it. So thank you so much for this question. Maybe the authorities of International Aviation Committee would correct me, but several years ago we had some issues on how to find pilots. Some air companies they tried to hunt down by all others by different schemes pilots. So Oleg Georgievich, as far as I remember, the amount of pilots now. Yeah, let me answer this question. This period happened before the pandemic, before the first crisis that we faced. So there were there was a significant lack of technical personnel, and the amount of flights were growing quite rapidly, and we needed personnel. After that, after pandemic, so it slowed it down, and a lot of aircrafts were binded to Earth. So and air connection was closed for some time during the pandemic. So the next critical stage were sanctions that touched upon the Russian Federation and Belarus. So they temporarily they worsened the situation within with flight amounts, and now, as we see, the situation started to improve. In 2023, we carried more than 105 million passengers, which is a good number of passengers. So, including all these participants of this agreement, so we still keep on working on personal training. So within 1 year, we only in the Russian Federation on the budget reform of education about 790 pilots. As well, we continue training technical personnel, dispatchers. So in every direction of aviation activity, we train personnel. So that is why we cannot say that we have a lack of pilots in air companies. On the other hand, some graduates cannot really find a working place. Everyone is waiting for Russian planes on the market. So, and at that time, the situation would probably be improved. So everyone would find a working place. As well, we have a drainage of some pilots, so the well qualified personnel is hunted by some international companies, but as well we continue training personnel here. Speaking about technological progress, the aim is to improve the quality of training of aviation specialists. As we say, pilots from the USSR to nowadays is one of the highest. So they're quite in big demands, our graduates, our pilots. And speaking about technological progress, it is very important not to reduce, as there were some offers before the pandemic, so that we need to train pilots for a year and a half, so it would be sufficient. So let them work, but it's very important. On the contrary, we need to come back to specialist training, not the bachelor degree. So, and we need to train good specialists who would face all the requirements, all the equipment that is set up on the planes, and the decent level of digitalization and electronics use that is used in modern aircrafts. As well, to maintain such equipment, so there should be a well qualified personnel. So now we're working on the quality of, so aviation authorities, Russian aviation is working on preparation of this specialist. Thank you very much for this question. So the next question is to Oleg Nikolaevich Lim. So speaking about your republic, so how the situation is going on about the investigation of flight accidents, and can you deal with your own within your own countries, or maybe you give some helping hand for different countries, and what issues do you have?
I'd like to comment on the problems discussed right now, and then we'll switch to a question. As for the crew, flight crew, we've come across such a situation of lacking of the staff because our company grew, and by now the national carrier national Uzbek Airways, the staff members, the 30% of staff members are from Russia, and the pilots and specialists from Russia greatly helped us because we are facing the growth in this industry, and the specialists are of very highly trained, but we need to have our own specialists, and we are creating our own flight school, which is expected to train staff within the nearest few years. As for the flight safety in Uzbekistan, there are facts that we are proud of. Starting from 2016, we have had now a single flight accident with victims, but a number of accidents dropped significantly as a whole. During the Soviet period, the number of accidents was over 100. Now the figure is 11 accidents per year, so it's significant improvement. So as for total flight hours, the figure is 11,000 hours per aircraft. So the level is acceptable for us, and the level significantly exceeds the level or the standard established by our government. Of course, we have some problems as far as the number of the fleet increases. That's why we have to have more flight crews. And in order to increase the aircraft fleet, we need to solve some strategic issues. We are supposed to have 100 large aircrafts, and the passenger carriage capacity is supposed to be increased by 2030. And to do that, we need to increase the fleet. And I think that we will successfully achieve the goals set for the civil aviation in our country. Thank you for your answer. One more question to Sergei Vladimirovich, Deputy Chairman of the Aviation Committee. Could you tell us about the situation happening here at the forum in 2024? Do you have any common goals or plans for agreements you would like to achieve during this forum? Could you disclose a secret here? Because I think you have come here not only to just to represent yourself, but to establish something new for countries. Thank you for your difficult question, let's say. Yes, our purpose is to familiarize as many people as possible with our work, the work we are doing, and this forum has gathered a lot of people from all over the world who are now involved in international cooperation, which is now reaching the other level. And this level of the international cooperation is now reaching a new level, a new circle of development. Are any additions? Sergei Vladimirovich was right when he was saying that we are using the ground of this forum to tell about our organizations, and we conduct negotiations with different countries who are interested in joining MOC and work jointly. And we are open for all the countries who want to use such an organization for flight security as Mark. Thank you. Thank you. As far as we have no questions, except for those who want to make selfie, I'd like to thank you. I'd like to wish you fruitful cooperation. Thank you. Now we'll have a round table devoted to development of regional organization, telling about their importance. And some reports will be presented there. So if anyone has an interest, you can attend this session. Thank you.